We are kicking off the new year with a podcast series. This is the very first episode, and what we're talking about in this episode is something you may not even realize you're doing, which is talking about solution and talking about root cause way too soon inside of your marketing and your content, and probably even your sales funnels and webinars, and how it's pushing people away and what to do to fix it. I guarantee you that if you're listening to this episode and you're not getting the engagement you want inside of your content, you're not getting people showing up to your webinars, things aren't really working, even though you're providing really good information, I'm willing to bet you might be talking about solution and root cause way too soon. And we're going to help you fix that with today's episode. So keep on listening.
Hi, I'm Brandon Lucero, and you're about to experience the new way to thrive in business, entrepreneurship, and life by leaning into who you are, what you love, and standing up for what you want to create. Get ready, because this is where we go against the grain, say no to outdated society norms, and we say yes to change in order to create a happier, more fulfilled world. Welcome to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. Today, we are going to be starting and kicking off the new year with a little bit of a new series that I'm calling the 5 marketing mistakes and how to fix them. These are the most common mistakes that I see after working with 3,000 different students. These are also the mistakes that I see and a lot of the feedback we get from people. Although I do say we shouldn't survey people. Well, that's not really what I say. What I say is you shouldn't rely on surveys to give you accurate information to base all of your marketing and messaging off of. So surveys can provide a lot of really good information. You can definitely find trends and things like that. But I do think it's very good to survey, especially your customers, to look at what is the experience like, what is the course like, and things like that. And so some of the stuff that I poo-poo on is surveys about the upfront marketing when it comes to content. We shouldn't just rely on it as if it's absolute truth and gold, because it's not. It's the conscious mind versus subconscious. We should be looking at the behavior. What are people responding to and clicking on and engaging with? But either way, after looking through some of the surveys we sent out to some of our students, one of the questions that we asked was, looking back, what are some of the things you wish you would have known, or what are some of the things that you think made the biggest difference? What sort of understandings and teachings and stuff like that? I've also been doing a lot of sales calls as well, and just listening to what everyone is going through and experiencing. And with that being said, I started to notice there's about 5 different sort of trends or mistakes that people were making when it comes to their marketing. Some of them was messaging and communication. Some of them was a little beyond that, like offer and strategy. So I wanted to kick off today with number 1. And we'll talk about number 1, and each episode will be a different one. And so the first one today, and what this episode is all about, is talking about the solution too soon. And this one is a big one, because what happens is when we start talking about our solution or going deep, or another way to put it is you talk about the root cause. And I know as a coach and as an expert, you want to talk about the root cause. You want to just tell people look, man, here's what's really going on, or come on, you have this issue. This is the real reason as to why it's happening and how we can start to fix it. And so there is this desire, because we know we can see the bigger picture. We have a bird's eye view of everything that's going on. We see our people come in and they're suffering and they have issues and problems, and we want to help them. And we just want to explain look, this is what's really going on. And the problem is when we do that, we start to talk outside of the awareness of our audience, which means we become not relevant. So we lose relevancy, which means that they don't think that we're talking to them or about them or something that's going to help them, even though we can. And again, it's one of the most frustrating things in the world, because you're like, no, I can help you. I want to help you. I understand the truth. I know what's going on. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me. And they're sitting there going this isn't relevant to me. And then you see someone who knows less than you, has less experience than you, and they crush it. And hopefully the question you're asking is why? Why are they doing better? Well, the thing is when we talk about root cause and we talk about solution, the audience usually in most cases doesn't know they need the solution. They don't even know what the solution is. So when we start talking about it, they just don't get it. And I'll give you a perfect example. a lot of the issues and problems that you guys are having in business and marketing is because of your communication. It's because of the way you talk, the headlines, the copy, how you teach, how you structure your webinars, all of that stuff. But if you don't know that, and I just came up to you and said, yeah, your sales problem is because of messaging. Or I said, yeah, the reason why your content isn't working or getting the engagement you want is because of messaging. You would look at that and go like, no, I think I just need a new content strategy, or I just need to try this new type of content, or I need to try this new thing, right? And so when I start to shove messaging down your throat and you don't know that it's a messaging problem, you don't think that it's a messaging problem, and I sit there and try to tell you, oh yeah, it's a messaging problem, I'm not relevant to what you're going through. Because you don't think or know that it is a messaging problem. What you know is that your content's not working. So instead, if I came to you and said, hey, is your content not working? It's like, all of a sudden I get a yes, that's exactly what the issue is. So instead of trying to go right to the root of what's going on, I go to the symptom. What is the symptom of what they're dealing with? And that's where a lot of our marketing and messaging and content should really stem from, is what are the symptoms or the problems that your audience is having? That should be the inspiration to your content, your topics, your language, how you talk and communicate. And, after working with so many people, what I've realized is that there are a couple things that will happen when you talk about solution or the root cause too soon. The first thing is that what will happen is you will deliver really good information. So this might be inside of a webinar, a piece of content, a podcast, or whatever, and you get done, you're like, damn, like that information was gold. That was such good information. I hopefully am helping a lot of people. And you might even get some comments like, wow, good information. But no one really buys. No one really shows up live the way that you would want them to. No one really stays all the way to the end. And even if they do, they're not buying. So you're delivering good information, but people just aren't responding to it the way that you want. The other reason or way that this will show up is when you feel like you're just giving and giving and giving and you have nothing to show for it. So when you continue to just like regurgitate your information, regurgitate your degrees or your certifications, like this material that you spent a lot of money and time learning, you regurgitate it into content. You're putting out that really good information, and you just have nothing to show for it. It's like crickets. You're unheard. There's no engagement. There's no sales. No one's showing up. Like you can't even get people to respond to your content, let alone show up to a webinar and buy. The next way that this will show up, this is again another indicator that you're talking too soon about solution, is that it feels like you want to help, you can help, you want to scream to the universe, like, why aren't you helping? Like, why aren't you letting me like find people? I know I can help. Like, I want to help people. Just let me help you. I can help you. Why aren't you guys coming in? It feels like the universe or God or whatever is there's like a block, an invisible block that you cannot see, and you don't know why. Again, no sales. And it feels like even when you are explaining stuff that's just like, is really good, and it just feels like it goes in one ear and out the other. Like people just don't get it. They don't respond to it. They don't whatever. These are all very clear signs that you're talking about solution or the root cause way too soon. And this is why we actually created a style of content called self-diagnosing content a couple of years ago, about 2 years ago, because it actually gets people to come to their own conclusion. Oh my God, I have the problem. And so, one of the things that we started doing, or I guess one of the things we started exploring is like, well, why does that happen? Why do we start to talk too much about the solution? In what way does it show up? And why doesn't that actually work? Like if people think we're an expert and we start telling them about the root cause, why doesn't it actually work? And part of the reason why is because we go into convincer mode. And convincer mode can come off as, I want to be right. I want to go deep. I want to show how smart I am. I want to show all of these things, right? This is convincer mode. Or we move into explaining. And explaining is again the same thing. It's like, let me explain to you why I'm right. Let me explain to you how smart I am. Let me explain to you my knowledge. Let me, and your intention might be to help, but it comes off as this person, like you're just explaining or you're trying to convince someone instead of persuading. And persuading is a different style of communication because it's allowing people to come to their own conclusions of what they want to believe, coming to their own conclusion. Oh, I do have that problem. Oh, maybe that is the root cause. Oh, maybe blah, 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 blah. Right. And so there's a big difference when someone can come to their own conclusion. I trust this person. When they can come to their own conclusion, that this makes sense. When they come to their own conclusion, oh my God, I have the problem they're talking about. There's a massive difference in the quality of that person entering your launches, your funnels, and all of that stuff. Which is why when we write ads and copy, I'm always trying to get people to come to their own conclusion. Oh man, I have the issue that this guy's talking about. I better opt in. Because when they come to their own conclusion that they have the issue, that I'm speaking to them, that I understand them, and that what starts to happen is they start to develop a trust in my ability to solve their problem. And that's why we have to get out of the explainer and convincer mode and more into the persuasion mode. And I'll give you just one more quick example of the difference between explaining and persuading, okay? So let's pretend I wanted to get people to come to their own conclusion, or I wanted people to buy my video marketing service, okay? So let's say I had a video marketing service. Now I could sit there and say something along the lines of like, hey guys, if you've been wanting to make more sales and build bigger engagement, you should definitely check out video. Video is one of the best ways to build an audience. It's one of the best ways to build connection, because you can have the visual aspect, you have the auditory aspect, people can see you and feel you. And video, you can film with your phone. It's just so easy. So come on in, sign up for this webinar, and I'll see you there. And that is what I would call convincer or explainer. Let me explain to you why this is better. Let me convince you that you need to come in. Okay. So here's what persuading would be. Hey guys, if you're inside of if you're reading this ad, you're likely a course creator and you probably want to generate more sales and more engagement on your content. And there's only a few options. You have video, you have images, you have podcasts, right? There's not really much more than that. But let me ask you guys a question. If you wanted to remarket to people that are consuming your content, how are you going to do that with the podcast? How are you going to be able to say, hey, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or wherever, hey, anyone who listened to this podcast episode, 50% of the way through, let me show an ad to them. Can you do that with the podcast? No, you can't. So if you really want to maximize your marketing and your ad dollars, a podcast, is it really the best option? And then with images, how are you going to be able to do that with an image? How are you going to be able to remarket people that consume an image? How are you going to be able to build a deeper connection with people if all you have is a single image, right? But both of those options are available with video. And so if you're someone who wants to be able to remarket and build a deeper connection because of the different senses available, well, we have a webinar explaining, breaking down exactly how to do that. Join here. Okay. And so hopefully what you guys are realizing is, instead of me telling someone all the beautiful, amazing things about video, what I did is I showed the flaws in all the other options, leaving video to be the only option, allowing the person to come to their own conclusion. Oh man, maybe this is the better option. And so instead of convincing someone that this is what they need, I'm showing them the issues, the problems, things they might face with every other option besides the video. And then video obviously becomes the clear option. Now, that's just one way to be more persuasive with our language. There's a lot of different ways that we can be persuasive with our language, but hopefully that demonstrates the difference between explaining and convincing versus persuading. And so what a lot of people start to do is they want to talk about the root cause. They want to talk about the solution. Let me just tell you everything that's going on. And we find ourselves moving into convincer and explainer mode when we really want to be more in the persuasive mode. And, when it comes to solutions and talking about root causes, we can do that. However, we need to do it in a way that people come up with their own decisions that, oh man, this is the problem I have. So for example, if you're a parenting coach, this is an example I use all the time, and you know that the reason why people yell at their kids to try to get them to listen is because they get triggered, right? So they like their kids are triggering something, or their nervous system is like totally dysregulated and they just snap, right? And you know that in order to be calm and not have to yell at your kids, you know that you have to regulate your nervous system and heal your triggers, which means you have to go through your past traumas and do the work, right? So if you know that, instead of saying, here's the reason why you yell at your kids and going right to the root cause, what we could do is we could do something that says 5 signs you yell at your kids because of unhealed past traumas and triggers. And then sign number 1 is your yelling is an automatic reaction that you don't even think about. And so now someone's reading that going like, okay, I'm yelling at my kids. Is it from a trigger? I'm curious. And then they see step 1 or sign 1 and they go, oh my God, it is automatic. Wow, maybe I do have this, right? So they're coming to their own realization that, oh man, maybe I do have this root cause, right? So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is building a bridge. And we have an episode on that, on how to build a bridge here on this podcast. You guys can go search for it. But building a bridge basically starts with meeting your audience where they're at. So your communication starts with things like something along the lines of like, hey, have you noticed that, are you someone who doesn't want to yell at your kids, but you can't seem to figure out how to stop yelling at them? Did you ever realize that it is automatic? When you guys yell at your kids, did you realize it's an automatic reaction that you really don't have any control over? Have you ever asked yourself why it's automatic? Where does the automatic reaction come from? Well, the automatic reactions inside of your body come from something called your nervous system. And when it's dysregulated, this is what it looks like. It looks like this and this and this and this and this. And if you've been seeing, sensing, and feeling any of those things, then you probably have a dysregulated nervous system. So in order to keep your nervous system calm and get rid of those automatic reactions, what we have to do is look at your triggers. Now, most people don't realize this, but a trigger is just unresolved past trauma. And so what that usually means is like, if your kids disobey you, you might have an experience in your past where someone disobeyed you or disrespected you and it made you feel a certain way. So what happens now is your body automatically reacts to it. But if we can heal that and address it, what happens is the trigger goes away, the nervous system stays regulated, and you stay calm and grounded with your kids. So that's a bridge. I started with, here's where you're at. And then I went step by step by step by step by step by step, all the way to the root cause. And it doesn't take very long to do it. But the problem is everyone just starts at the root cause. Everyone creates content from the root cause. Everyone just says, here's what the root cause is. And slight little changes, just little changes in your communication and your marketing can move you out of convincer and out of explainer mode and move you more into the persuasive mode. Now, this is a new style of messaging that we're working on called conversion messaging. And this is one of the biggest issues there. And I want to get you guys ready because in March, we're going to be doing a 3-day workshop all on conversion messaging. So if you love this episode, get ready because in March, we got some big things coming. And like always, if you love this episode, let me know. Leave me a review on iTunes. I always love reading them. I haven't checked in a while, so I don't know if we've had any in a while, but I'm going to go check. So please leave us a review, and I will talk to you guys all next week on next week's episode. Take care.
Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, go below, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you click on that bell icon and get notified every time we drop a new episode. Now, if you're looking for the show notes, we have them linked underneath this video, as well as our social media handles and some links to free training and offers that we drop from time to time to help you guys even further. So go check those out if you're interested. And thank you so much for tuning in to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast.